Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Monday morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing awesome out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day and a great beginning to your week out there so far. Hopefully, you got the day off. I imagine most of us do, but I know some of us do not. But regardless, I hope you guys certainly are having a wonderful start to your morning. We got a lot to discuss in this morning's video, and I'm going to tell you right at the dot, this video will go just mostly towards this winter storm that's going to unfold. I mean, under 24 hours now across areas of the country, the South. So we'll break it up like this. We'll talk about Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi first. And then we'll have a timestamp for the Southeast, which will include Alabama, Georgia, the Carolinas, and Florida. So I do apologize for my people who tune in regularly, and expect that daily forecast. There's just been so much going on since the beginning of the new year. That's kind of dropped off and went to the side a little bit. But I promise you guys, once we get past this storm system midway this week, we'll go right back to the normal flow of things. And honestly, if I'm being real with you, I'm ready to get back to the normal flow of things. But we still got this winter storm to cover, and we're going to break it down. And we got a pretty rare setup for a lot of people. Some areas that hardly ever get to see accumulating snow will have a shot to see it. This will make the kids happy. It'll make a lot of people happy. But of course, some people are not going to like it. But we got a lot to cover. We're going to get very detailed. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So let's start this off by talking about the latest watches, warnings, advisories. I will tell you, not a whole lot's changed since last night's video if you tuned in. We'll start west to east here. We do have winter storm warnings as far west as San Antonio, Austin. Winter storm warnings as far south as Corpus Christi. I mean, even a few counties to the southwest of that. Of course, the criteria to meet winter storm warning criteria is pretty low. It's like 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain, like under an inch of snow. So it don't take much to prompt the winter storm warnings here. But of course, Houston, Galveston, winter storm warnings all the way up to College Station. There's a pretty sharp cutoff, though. You get up to Dallas, Fort Worth, it's just cold. These are just cold weather advisories. Same thing with Shreveport, cold weather advisories. But then you drop down to, say, Alexandria, points south. You have winter storm warnings in a couple parishes north. Don't want to say counties. I know it's Louisiana, north of Alexandria. You do have winter weather advisories. I would say this, guys. I'm going to probably say it a few times throughout this video. The cutoff to this snow is going to be brutal, and somebody's going to be on that dry side that is that winter weather fan and probably be very upset. And who knows, I might be on that dry side too. There's a good chance I will be here in South Carolina. So that's going to be everywhere throughout the entire length of this system, from Texas to the Carolinas. There's going to be a sharp cutoff where you get absolutely nothing, and then if you're just inside of that kind of snow shield, then you might get a little bit of some accumulation. But this is where I would say that the heaviest portion of the storm is going to be for anywhere, and that is Louisiana and extreme southeast Texas. This entire area is under winter storm warnings. I mean, way down here. Winter storm warnings, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and then we get into southern Mississippi, Hattiesburg. You guys do have that winter storm warning, but you go a couple counties north, still under those winter storm watches. You'll either get upgraded to a warning or an advisory, and then you still have winter storm watches up in Jackson, Meridian. There's been no upgrade to an advisory or a winter storm warning here, but the winter storm warnings are up, including extreme cold warnings, pretty wild stuff for Mobile. We have winter storm warnings up for the panhandle of Florida. They extend all the way to about Panama City, and then they're just winter storm watches. They'll get upgraded to an advisory or a warning one way or the other. And winter storm warnings do extend all the way up to about Montgomery. And then it just kind of goes to winter storm watches. We're just still watching this area. Birmingham, just the cold warnings. And then the last area we'll talk about, winter storm watches. I mean, throughout the entire rest of the panhandle of Florida, all the way to just west of Jacksonville. Winter storm watches. I think I said warnings, but it's watches. And you still got winter storm watches. I mean, all the way up through Atlanta. I mean, these were issued like 2 days ago. The National Weather Service, was in Columbia, was really, I would say that they did not. I think it's a smart idea. The more and more we go in time, they did not pull the winter storm watches ever. They did for the low country of South Carolina down here, like Allendale, Charleston, Beaufort, Savannah winter storm watches, but they have not been extended past this. And I don't blame them because, I mean, honestly, the question marks get very, very large once you get into this area of the Carolinas, and we'll talk about that as we go. So, as we break this down, if I sneeze, if I have to pause, I am still under the weather. I feel okay, but I just got this brutal cold that I've had for about 3 days now. And so, if I sneeze, interrupt the video, the flow is just not there. It's just because I'm just a little bit sick this morning. But starting it off for this evening, it's pretty wild. We're right here at this system. It's this evening. We got a little moisture building out the Gulf. We got a little moisture coming down from the south. As we start to move forward here, I would not be surprised if the Dallas-Fort Worth area gets some flurry, some light snow tonight. It's not showing much on model guidance, but I wouldn't be surprised with it because Arctic air likes to squeeze out all the moisture in the atmosphere, and you never know. We're getting to the middle of the night tonight, and this is the Euro. We got some snow bubbling up down here, and then we start to get into Tuesday morning. We got snow falling in, pretty much down to Houston. We got more of a wintry mix, kind of west and southwest of Houston. In this pink, that's freezing rain. The orange is sleet. And the blue is snow. But it's snowing in Houston. Down to the Gulf coastline. You keep this going, the snow picks up in intensity. In the blue area, you see those darker shades of blue. That's heavy snow, folks, in Houston, Texas. We take it to midday, it's still snowing very, very heavily, Beaumont, Houston. And it looks like it all goes to snow, even all the way down to like Corpus Christi. So, incredible stuff, incredibly rare snow. And then this lingers all the way until tomorrow afternoon, and then it's done for this area. And now we break down the Euro for Louisiana, Mississippi, and here we go. Snow starts to move in into the wee hours of the morning tomorrow morning, some light snow at first, and then once, the sun comes up, the snow picks up, and by the time we're about midday tomorrow, we got an all-out snowstorm for about the entire southern half of Louisiana. Heavy snow starting to move into southwest areas of Mississippi also. We take it to the next frame. This is Tuesday afternoon, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock tomorrow, and you got an all-out snowstorm in Louisiana. Just absolutely unreal stuff. It's snowing in the Gulf. You don't see stuff like this. And, snowing in Gulfport, how far north does the snow get? Does it get all the way up to Shreveport? I think it will try to get up to like Meridian, Jackson, but it's going to be a sharp cutoff. Very brutal, sharp cutoff. But down here is steady accumulating snow. Someone's going to go over a half a foot of snow in southern Louisiana, maybe even southern Mississippi. But you keep going here, and you take it all the way to tomorrow evening, and it's still pouring snow in Baton Rouge, down in New Orleans, Houma, Thibodaux, all the communities down here in southeast Louisiana. And you keep going here, and then by the time we get into tomorrow night, it's about done. So we're just going to stick to the National Weather Service forecast and all these. We're going to work west to east, so we'll start in Texas, and then we'll get through Louisiana and Mississippi. So we'll start off with the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Not calling for any snow here. They've even dropped some of the totals south of Dallas. I think at one point Centerville was calling for an inch or two of snow. Now just an inch or less. So, there's just a brutal cutoff to the north. And, we've been, for a lot of our folks north of this winter storm, we've been banking on this shifting north and west. And this hasn't done it. And that doesn't mean it's not going to do it over the next 18 to 36 hours. But in model guidance, it is, some models are further north. Some models are further south, and there's like a cap. It's like they're not going but so far south, but they're not going but so far north. So that tells you that the model guidance, even though nothing's totally agreeing, it's kind of in a range where it's just sitting at. So we go down to the Austin area. They've dropped snow totals down here too, just a little bit, especially for the eastern areas. But LaGrange still 1 to 2 inches of snow, but Austin down to San Antonio, an inch or less. And then we look at the ice with this too. Still a few 100ths of an inch of ice is possible. And we go down to Corpus Christi. Haven't showed this, I think it is Corpus, yeah. Haven't showed this graphic yet, but they don't really have a great graphic up. All they say is, hey, winter storm warning, snow and sleet, trace to a less than an inch, trace to a 1/10 of an inch of ice in these areas right here. Victoria, San Antonio, in many areas. It doesn't take much in this area. And then you get into Houston. This is when the winter storm really cranks up. Houston going for around 3 to 4 inches of snow. Beaumont about 4 to 5. You get up to College Station, maybe an inch, inch and a half. Austin, still going for an inch in this graphic, but I think they've kind of dropped totals in this area. But Galveston, 3 inches of snow, maybe 4. Sugar Land, about the same thing. Lake Charles, 4 to 5. We'll talk more on that area here in a second. It's just in general, the further northeast you get, the more snow. Get up the interstate, you head towards Louisiana. This will be a corridor for the most snow. And then freezing rain, could get a little bit of it, but not calling for much right now. Then you start to get up to Shreveport. I do want to show this graphic, but it's getting to the point where there's no point in showing it no more. Shreveport, not going for any, but you get a little bit south, maybe a few tenths of an inch of snow. But, Lufkin might squeeze out a half an inch. But you just got to watch. You got to watch this corridor up here. Who knows? But we dip down south, down Interstate 49 to I-10. This is when you get to the potential for historic accumulating snow, several inches. Lake Charles, 5, Jennings, 5, Lafayette, 5, 5.5, 6. Even down the Gulf coastline. Anywhere from 3 to 4 inches of snow. This will be a historic event for a lot of these areas. I'm sure we'll break daily forecast snow records. The most snow ever, absolutely not. But this will be a super rare event for you guys where you're all snow. A little bit of a risk for ice, but I think this will be mostly snow. And then, this is even crazier. You get deep down in southeast Louisiana. Houma going for 3 to 4. Way down here in Golden Meadow, around 3 inches of snow. Thibodeau, a few inches. New Orleans to Hammond to Baton Rouge. Anywhere from 4 to 6 inches of snow, guys. I'm jealous, but I'm happy for you folks. This is awesome stuff. If you're down here and you're saying, man, this stinks, man, I don't want no snow, man, I ain't got a whole lot for you. I would just enjoy the historic portion of this that it is, and this is just awesome. You don't see stuff like this. If they were calling for 4 to 5 inches of snow at my house, man, my energy would be through the roof right now. Gulfport, 3.5 inches of snow. Macomb, 2 to 3. So this is a pretty rare event for you guys. Very rare. Now you head up Interstate 55 to the 20 corridor. Once again, that 20 corridor is that is the corridor right there. But Jackson, I know once upon a time they were calling for an inch, inch and a half. But now, Jackson, the Meridian, under a half an inch is forecast. Hattiesburg's even dropped a little bit, inch, inch and a half. You got to get deep down here in Mississippi to really see any, totals that are certainly appreciable, if you will. So speaking of the Southeast, what we're going to do here is we're going to spend a little bit more time on this than we did, say, the other areas like, Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, because there's still a lot of question marks in this area. But I do think there's less than there was, say, yesterday. So we'll go over the Euro and then we'll go over the GFS. And I can tell you they're starting to come together somewhat to a solution or what we think might be a solution. And then we'll go over some short-range model guidance on the fly, and then we'll cover what the National Weather Service is showing as far as snow and ice totals, and we'll cover what some model guidance is showing. So let's start off midday Tuesday. So this is tomorrow, about midday. Of course, we got the snowstorm ongoing in Louisiana, southern Mississippi. But, as we're starting to make our way into, tomorrow afternoon, there's the light snow, potentially getting as far north as Birmingham. Certainly snowing in Montgomery. It's starting to snow in Mobile, snowing in the western panhandle of Florida. And you just got to watch this little finger right here of snow. That's one thing that the models keep liking is the fact that we're going to have this extension of light snow well away from the heavier snow. Model guidance continues to show this, especially in global. So how much does this light snow add up? Is it heavier than what models are depicting? It's a big question. But we're getting into Tuesday afternoon. There's that snow moving into southwest Georgia. We'll take it one more frame. This is about 7 p.m. on the Euro. It does show snow getting as far north as Atlanta, the Greenville-Spartanburg area, certainly moving into Augusta, Macon. But once again, the heaviest stuff is in the far southern counties of Alabama. It's heavy snow in the western panhandle of Florida. You're getting heavy snow moving into southwest Georgia at this point. You take it one more frame, and then this is when it pretty much starts to snow. To me, it's pretty wild how it takes over. Like this is around 4 p.m. Tuesday afternoon, and this is a 6-hour period. Bang, bang. That's 6 hours. You see how quickly it takes over? And it's because we got moisture off the coast of the southeast too, so there's a little bit of a connection there. But this is 9, 10 p.m. Tuesday, tomorrow evening. It's crazy. We've been talking about this for 11, 12 days, and here we are. But we still got this corridor of moderate to heavy snow down here in like central to south central Texas. There is going to be a corridor of ice and the pink and the sleet and the orange. And then someone's going to have a cutoff in like the central panhandle of Florida. But if you're north of this kind of icy mix line, it is snowing pretty hard. Southwest Georgia, snowing hard. This is all light stuff up here. But it's going to be so cold, guys, that the light stuff will add up. Just how much is it going to add up to? Big question. But it's snowing along the Carolina coastline. You know, the Euro's saying, hey, maybe just an icy mix at first, and then you take it one more panel. I would say there's still question marks in the low country of South Carolina, especially near the coast, Georgia too, Savannah up to Beaufort, Hilton Head, Charleston. How much of this is going to just be an icy mix at first, or are you going to be all snow? But I mean, someone is going to get more snow than I think forecast in areas of Georgia. I don't know who that's going to be, but they're going conservative with your forecast, and I think that's smart. But it does show a several-hour period of moderate to heavy snow somewhere in Georgia, even into the low country of South Carolina, just south of Orangeburg, and it's still lightly snowing. If the Euro's correct, even up in like Columbia, you get this around a 6-hour period, 4 to 6 hour period of just kind of light snow. That it's a big question, and I'm honestly, I've said this on social media yesterday. I'm honestly ready to just start looking at the radar. I'm ready to get into tomorrow and then look at the radar out west and see what it looks like, because it has just been crazy trying to figure this one out. But by the time you're starting to get to the wee hours of the morning, Wednesday morning, I mean, it's snowing pretty good along the South Carolina, North Carolina coastline. More of an icy mix down to Georgia, northern Florida. But it could end as a nice burst of snow. Like, this is the final frame before the system begins to head out. It's snowing pretty good out in the Outer Banks. Snowing pretty good down to Wilmington, down to Myrtle Beach, down to Charleston. Snowing all the way down to just the low country of South Carolina. And we're just dealing with this icy mix down here. And then it begins to taper off by the time we get into Wednesday. We got that very cold air. How much is going to be left with us? So, what about the GFS? Now, just to recap the GFS, it was basically showing no storm once it got into Georgia and the Carolinas. The GFS has ticked back to us over the last 36 hours. This kind of came to what the Euro is saying now. So we'll start again. Once again, this is midday Tuesday. Very heavy snow starting to move in. I wouldn't say very, but it's moderate to heavy snow moving into Mobile. Here comes this little. I know that's just weird me saying finger, but we got this finger of light snow trying to get all the way up to Atlanta. And I'm telling you right now, I don't know how far north this is going to be, but this is around 4 to 5 o'clock tomorrow. Do not let this little area of snow catch you off guard in Atlanta. If this happens, we know what everybody in Atlanta that's lived there for 11, 12 years remembers what happened in 2014. Late January, around this time of the year, I don't think Atlanta was forecasting hardly any snow. And you got around an inch, but it snowed in like the low 20s. It was brutally cold, and it stuck on the roads before it actually stuck on the ground. And it caused, the snow began, the ice jam, whatever y'all locally call it. And it reminds me of that, and this little band of snow, if it does get up there, especially got to watch point south, tries to sneak into this area around rush hour. So just want to give a shout out to that situation. We'll see what happens with that. Not sure if that's the way it's going to happen, but certainly something to watch. But you go one more panel here, and bang, here we are. This is 6, 7 o'clock. Some snow starting to move as far north as almost Rock Hill. Some snow, light snow starting to move into Columbia, South Carolina, Augusta. We got the heavier stuff down in southern Alabama. I mean, look at this darker shade of blue. It is pouring snow in the western panhandle of Florida. It's picking up intensity here in southwest Georgia. I'm telling you, I'm watching southern Alabama is one thing, but southwest Georgia is an area where their snow accumulations are conservative right now. But I would watch some areas to overachieve, and I don't know, just throwing that out there. But we're starting to get into this is like 9:10 p.m. You got this area of light snow now reaching all the way up to Charlotte, the Greenville, Spartanburg area. I can tell you, man, there's a lot of model guides that doesn't show it even getting close to that area. So we got this period of light snow. I mean, the heavier stuff is still down here in central Georgia, point south. We got this icy mix on going to like Tallahassee, showing some mixing issues like in areas of Myrtle Beach. You don't want the GFS to happen if you live along the coastal areas because you would get a lot of ice. But you take it to the middle of the night, still a little bit of light snow all the way back into Columbia. And it's just an icy mess down here in southeastern Georgia, northern Florida. Still snowing lightly down the western panhandle of Florida. And, something the GFS has been showing it takes a little bit longer for this moisture to pull off. And it's been showing that for a while. And, hey, you got to tip your cap to the GFS. I don't know if you guys remember that's been tuning into the videos for quite some time covering this. The GFS lost the storm like Thursday. And yes, it is ticking a little bit back with it, but it's small ticks. The Euro, has done well too, but it was more on the aggressive side and it's ticked a little bit more suppressed. So you had the Euro here and the GFS here. The Euro has kind of done this while the GFS has kind of done that. They're kind of meeting in the middle from what I'm noticing. So, you continue to move to about midday Wednesday. It's still snowing along the coastline of the Carolinas. Even Georgia. A little bit of light snow falling in South Georgia still. And then finally, it tapers off. Now, just to go over some short-range model guidance. The NAM has went back and forth. The latest NAM. Here it comes. Heaviest stuff down here. Really heavy stuff. That's the thing. Is models disagree with that little, I would say, finger of light precipitation breaking loose. Like the global models like this kind of area of light snow out ahead of the main event. Some of the short-range model guidance, like the HRRR model, the NAM, has just a sharp cutoff between nothing and heavy snow. Kind of reminds me of like 2018, January 3rd in the Carolinas. But this is a great example of it. Like south of Atlanta, like this area right here, goes from nothing to moderate snow. But it's pouring snow like, when is this? Tomorrow evening. And, it doesn't quite get all the way up into really Augusta or Columbia, and it stops short. But man, this would be a pretty impactful winter storm for south central Georgia, for the low country of South Carolina, for eastern North Carolina, but it would stop just short. And I will tell you that, this is definitely a tick further north. So, we go all the way up to the current run, and it it fills in a little bit more. And I want to go back and show you the GFS too. Like, I want to go all the way back to the 12Z run yesterday. It showed that, and then it comes a little bit further north, all the way to the current run. So there has been some trends northwest. Now, the Euro has kind of done the opposite. But anyways, going over a couple other models, you got the Icon model, and it doesn't show precipitation, but that's what it's saying now. And the Icon model tries to bring a half an inch up to Columbia, a little bit more in Augusta. But you look at the run prior, it wasn't as much. The run prior to that wasn't as much. So if we go up to the current run, the Icon is coming, a little bit further north. But, I'm just kind of going over model guidance. And, the HER model was pretty flat. There'll be a new one that comes out here in a little bit. But it's pretty flat with it. It doesn't get much up to Myrtle Beach at all. And I'm just showing you, I'm supposed to be just showing you precipitation at this point, but you can see what's going on. It doesn't get it far enough north at all to really get, I would say, areas deeper into the Carolinas into this. It does keep it a pretty impactful winter storm for Georgia and southern Alabama. But yeah, now I do want to see if my good buddy Daniel Bonds has a new graph model. Let's see. I don't think he did. No, he doesn't. But he did. I will show you this. And this is just for South Carolina. This is the latest graph. It wants to throw more snow back west. Like it wants to bring 2 inches, almost 3 inches of snow in Columbia and Augusta. It wants to drop half a foot of snow in Charleston. But I will tell you, this is even ticked southeast and starting to meet a little bit more with like the Euro and the GFS. So what about the Euro ensemble? I mean, it has definitely ticked a little bit further. I would say over the last few runs, it's ticked south. So it just keeps that corridor of snow really confined to areas deep in the south, and there's that sharp cutoff right into here. I mean, once you get up to the Greenville-Spartanburg area, the Atlanta area, Charlotte, not throwing you much of a bone. You get into central Georgia, central South Carolina, and kind of east central North Carolina. That's where it gets incredibly tough to figure out. You get towards the coastal areas of the Carolinas, southern areas of Georgia. That's when, we're probably going to get something. It's just how much. So you compare that with the GFS ensemble. It's improved. I mean, it's definitely, it's still lower than the Euro. But if you compare this to, say, the run a few runs ago, it was only showing that. And then 18Z last night showed this. The OOZ showed that. And then the latest 06Z shows this. So it's gotten a little bit more beefed up, mainly speaking of my folks here in Georgia and the Carolinas. So, man, it's incredibly tough forecast. And we're going to go over some areas from the National Weather Service, and then we'll wrap this video up. But this was issued a few hours ago. Birmingham, they're now not calling for any accumulating snow. You get down to Montgomery, maybe at half an inch. Auburn, same thing. Get down to Troy, maybe 1.5 inches of snow. This is that I-20 corridor I'm talking about. That has that brutal cutoff. They don't have an updated graphic for Mobile. This was issued like 3 or 4 o'clock yesterday, but I still think that this stands pretty well. 2 to 4 inches in Mobile, Pensacola 2, Crestview 2 to 4, Destin 1 to 2, Gulf Shores 1 to 2 inches of snow. Into southwest Alabama, the common theme is anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of snow. And, just to show you an updated graphic here, this is, they're still going for 2 to 3 inches of snow in Mobile, and still a few inches of snow into southern Alabama and to the western panhandle of Florida. Here's the ice totals. A few 100ths of an inch of ice is possible, but I wouldn't expect anything too terrible in the way of ice. We move a little bit further east in the panhandle of Florida into the north areas of Florida. A few inches of snow is possible. Tallahassee going for around 1 inch. Bonifay, 1.5 inches. Panama City, maybe at 0.5 inch of snow. You get into southwest Georgia. I'm telling you, this is the area to watch once you get further east. Enterprise, about 2 inches of snow. They're going for, the common theme is 1 to 2 inches of snow right here in southwest Georgia. But if you live in this region, I just want to watch for an overachiever. So that's just an area I want to watch. But Valdosta, only about 0.5 inch of snow. And then the ice here definitely is something to pay attention to. You could get over 1/10 of an inch of ice in Tallahassee, going for almost 1/4 inch of ice once you get, southwest of Tallahassee. Perry, almost 1/4 inch of ice. Valdosta, over 1/10. So once you get in that orange area, it gets serious. Just a few 100ths of an inch of ice, into southwest Georgia is likely. Then Jacksonville. Here we are pulling up a snow graphic for the Jacksonville area. Yeah, Jacksonville itself, not calling for any snow. But once you get into like Waycross, Douglas up here, Alma into Georgia, you certainly could get a little bit of accumulating snow up here. And then you look at the ice. They don't really have an ice graphic here. I have no idea why. But we can show you, say, let's just look at Georgia. And the icing situation right here can be pretty bad. That darker shade of pink, that's where they're forecasting over a 1/4 inch of ice. There's going to be sleet into this, and this is just north and northwest of Jacksonville. So this little corridor in extreme southeast Georgia, even the northern counties of northeast Florida, can get over a 1/4 inch of ice in this area. So freezing rain is definitely a concern here. But you keep going, and I've already showed you that. The rest of Georgia, only going for about a skiff of snow in Atlanta, about 0.2 of an inch of snow. This was issued about 3:30. Let's see if there's a new graphic here. There's not. So, once you get south down Interstate 75, making maybe a 0.5 inch to 1 inch, and then you start to get down to Interstate 16, and that's when you can get a couple inches of snow. Now, I'm not expecting much ice in this area. You get down to the Charleston area. They have dropped snow totals a little bit in this area. Beaufort now going for 1.5 inches, 1 to 2 inches in Savannah. But, man, this is still very impressive. 1 inch, 2 inches in Charleston. Walterboro, maybe 1 inch. Somerville's kind of the same thing. Monk's Corner, Allendale, maybe 1 inch of snow. And then you look at the ice. They're not going for much ice in this, which is kind of surprising. But my folks up here in Columbia, they're staying very conservative. They're just saying an inch or less. Once you get up to, this is where I live. This is the area that, 3 days ago I was very, very excited. Very, very excited. And who knows? This could still start. I know I got a lot of people tuning in from the Carolinas and Georgia, but especially here in South Carolina, this is where I started my weather platform with. I went to church last night and everybody was asking me, hey, is it going to snow? Is it going to snow? Is it going to snow? And I had to, kind of be the bearer of bad news and say, hey, this has trended a little bit less, a lot less, almost into a non-event for us. And it's unfortunate because once upon a time, this was looking like a good event where we could get 1 to 3 inches of snow out of. But, I know a lot of people are probably looking at their apps saying, man, what happened? What happened? But first off, I would say don't look at your weather app. Second, I would say, it's just, if you're a snow weather fan in the South, this is the way it is. You're either too cold, dry, or either you got temperature issues. In this case, you don't have temperature issues. It's just, once again, that I-20 corridor sitting right on the cusp of something. Could we get ticks? We absolutely could. We could get a big surprise tomorrow. That's why I'm excited just to get in tomorrow, just to kind of watch to see what's going to unfold as far as the radar. But, right now, they're not really going for exact totals. Let's see if there's anything that's changed here. There's a 1 out of 10 chance this is the high-end amount that you can get. So, once upon a time, this was saying like 7 inches. Now they're confident it's not going to be any more than 2. And then you could get absolutely nothing out of all these areas. So, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I was really bummed about this yesterday, to be honest with you, like really, really bummed. And, part of me was like, man, I'm going to put so much energy into this and I'm not going to end up getting anything, just kind of the pity thoughts come in. But, at the end of the day, it's just snow. It is what it is. I live in South Carolina, so what do you expect? But southeastern North Carolina, and then the PD of South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, I think you could squeeze in more than a half an inch of snow. But right now, they're just going for an inch or less. I think they're staying conservative, and pretty much the same thing for all of eastern North Carolina, just an inch or less of snow. And same thing with southeast VA. So that's all I got. We'll do another update tonight. We'll keep it rolling. And then once we get into tomorrow, I will not have a video tomorrow night. I'll just be kind of watching and hoping and praying that something will change. But, yeah, I mean, it just seems like for my folks here in the southeast, especially the Carolinas, it seems like we lost the storm, I would say Saturday morning, and we just never got it back. And it's taken a lot of energy out of me to sort of just cover this because I would be honest with you. If I'm being honest with you, I was riding a lot off the high of thinking that I was going to get something that was going to be really cool for my area, special. But, now that high is kind of worn off, I'm kind of running on fumes now. So it is what it is. But for anybody getting snow, I am happy for you. That's genuine. That's real. It's a big opportunity for a lot of people to see snow that hardly ever sees it. So, but that's all I got. We'll do it again tonight. You guys have a wonderful day. Stay warm and stay safe, and I'll talk to you again soon.